I'm really excited about these next two topics I'll be talking about. Usually I discuss religion like Christianity and the others. Next two episodes, I'm going to talk about New Age spiritualism. With my journeys and on my journeys, when I go out and perform atheist activism, normally I run into Christians and sometimes Muslims and people from various religions, and I have dialogue and debate with them. But I also run into people that say, David, I'm not religious. And immediately I respond and say, well, you're a fellow atheist. And most of the time I get, for some reason, they give me that disgruntled look. And they say, oh, no, not an atheist. I believe in a higher power. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Let's discuss New Age spiritualism. So I'm going to lump this worldview, this belief system, in with all the other spiritual, supernatural belief systems. They're all based on faith and spiritualism versus naturalism. So we've got a divide. We've got naturalism, which is a philosophy that nature encompasses all that exists and only of natural elements. And then we have all the religions and also New Age spiritualism that continue to believe that there's a higher power, there are gods and angels and spirits. So let's talk about New Age spiritualism today. First of all, what is it? Well, spiritual beliefs and practices that developed back in the 1970s. Now, a lot of information and data I've studied shows that it goes back a couple hundred years ago, but it really got common and popular in England in about the 1970s, and it grew and came across the pond and really exploded when it came to America back in the 80s and 90s, had its big heyday. I continue to run into many people that believe in higher powers and spiritualism. So let's talk about some of the theological beliefs they have, or a little theological summary. They have beliefs in a holistic form of divinity. Now, I get that a lot. They believe in holism. They believe that humans and angels and spirits are all connected together. And they believe in the permeation or saturation, or the word imbue, of the universe and humans all together. And that includes people, humans, animals alike. We're all connected to the universe. It's also a belief in a wide variety of semi-divine non-human entities. Now, a non-human entity, when I talk with spiritualists and New Agers, would be defined as angels. Many of them continue to believe in these non-human entities, very similar to angels in the Bible or the Quran. But humans, they believe, can communicate with these angels through channeling, which we will discuss in the next episode. Now, I've got a little experience with a particular person not too long ago. In fact, this was before I met my girlfriend, Christine, and I like to call it BC, before Christine. So I met this very attractive lady out when I was hiking at Town Lake a few years ago, and we struck up a conversation, exchanged phone numbers for our first date. So our first date at a restaurant a few weeks later, we began to talk, and I asked her what she did for a living. She said she was an entrepreneur, and she had a business of selling stones and rocks. Now, immediately, my red flag went up, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. It sounds a little spiritual or New Agey. So she told me she had a business of selling crystals. And she began to explain to me that she was a spiritualist, a non-religious person, but she held to supernatural belief systems. So I asked her, as I do with all supernatural believers, how do you know what you're saying is true? How can you prove to me that there is a spiritual, supernatural world, anything more than just pure naturalism? So she began to tell me that, and I kid you not, that she has two angels, visible angels and audible, she sees and hears every night, that hover over her bed And those angels talk to her at night and tell her to be safe and to be at peace because I'm with you, my child. So I asked her, was she hallucinating? How did she know this is true? She said no. She sees these angels and hears them. So needless to say, the date didn't last too much longer. We didn't continue to date after that. But I get this quite often from people that are holding on to belief systems. Also, spiritualism and New Age belief systems have a strong focus on healing using alternative medicines. Now, some of you are thinking, well, David, why would you discuss New Age spiritualism? It's benign. It's not as harmful as Christianity and Islam to societal health. Well, I used to think that way until I began to research and find out what these people believe and what their practices are. Well, first of all, many of them believe in homeopathy, pseudoscience. Many of them will not even take medication. I've got a few clients of mine that are big-time New Age spiritualists. Remember, one of them recently has been experiencing major shoulder pain. She's gone to a doctor, a real doctor, which he wasn't real high on. And the doctor told her to take some pain medication. She won't do it because she believes it's bad for her. So she's been attempting to use pseudoscience, healing mechanisms, and systems to alleviate her human suffering. She still has pain. It doesn't work. So I asked her if she would take some ibuprofen prior to her training session. She won't do that. So many of them are big into homeopathy and alternative medication. Also, New Age spiritualism, they have a strong belief in New Age science, which is seeking to unite and reconcile science and spiritualism. Now, a few weeks ago, I did some episodes on the accommodationism, how many believers and Christian apologists believe in accommodationism, trying to reconcile science and with religion and with faith. Also, we have the same thing in New Age spiritualism. There's a strong belief in some science, but to try to reconcile it with supernaturalism. And I begin to discuss with them and tell them, really, I believe that science is based not on faith, but science is based on evidence, where faith, supernaturalism, Christianity, Islam, and New Age spiritualism is based on faith and subjective experiences versus objective reality and evidence using science as the greatest arbiter of truth. Now, in closing, I do want to read to you a paragraph from a book. So I need to put my old geezer glasses on here so I can read this. So let me read for you in closing a paragraph from a book. It's called A Summary of New Age Beliefs from a Theodore Schick and Louis Vaughn, a book entitled How to Think About Weird Things. Yes, they are weird things. Critical Thinking. Interesting. Critical Thinking for a New Age, published back in 1995. Now, I could preach sermons and talk in great length on each sentence here, but I just want to read it to you. Here's what many of them believe. There is no such thing as objective truth. Really? Wow. I could go on and on with that. We make our own truth. There's no such thing as objective reality. We make our own reality. There are spiritual, there are mystical, or inner ways of knowing that are superior to our ordinary ways of knowing. Really? If an experience seems real, it is real. If an idea feels right to you, it is right. We, as human beings, are incapable. Now, this is what ticks me off about all religions and even New Age spiritualism. Here they claim that we as humans are incapable, I could go on and on about that, of being good, of being moral, of making good decisions, of having a good ethical life, of making this world better and progressing. We are incapable without the assistance of a higher power. Hell, you go into AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and they'll tell you the first thing there, you, as a human being, are incapable of beating this addiction without a what? A higher power. This bothers me because right away they're telling you and falling into the lie that you are incapable of beating bad addictions and so forth without the help of a higher power. Isn't that what Christianity says in the book of Psalms and again in Romans chapter 3? All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. No one does good. You cannot do good. You cannot beat addictions. You cannot be a good person without God. I don't like this stuff. So here you see it, even New Age spiritualism. It says, we are incapable, they say, of acquiring knowledge of the true nature of reality. Now, here's what really takes me off. Science itself is irrational. Science is, or mystical. It's just another faith. No, it's not a faith. It's a method we use to distinguish truth from falsity. Science itself is irrational or mystical. It's just another faith or belief system or myth with no more justification than any other. It doesn't matter whether beliefs are true or not. Wow, major relativism here, and that's a whole other topic I'd like to tackle in the future sometime. Not everything is relative. There's a lot of relativism, but there's a lot of things we do know that are true, objective reality through science. It doesn't matter whether beliefs are true or not, as long as they're meaningful to you. Wow. So this is why I stand against these spiritual, supernatural belief systems. They're not needed to have a good life. They're not needed to progress. So thanks for watching Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll discuss in detail the beliefs of New Age spiritualism. Have a wonderful day.